Hello, vermicompost makers and creators.
And the vermicurious.
The vermicurious. This is Johnny from Holly Hill Farm, without my mask for a moment, and Liza McPherson, also a farm teacher. Another farm teacher, Bella, is wonderfully filming us as we are about to investigate what your class did with creating worm bins. Liza and I pulled up 3 samples right here of worm bins. So in Weymouth, we created worm bins in the winter. In Scituate Public Schools, Hingham Public Schools, up at Codman Academy, we created a worm bin in Boston. And that was in the wintertime. In the wintertime, we were not sure exactly what to do with some leftover vegetable scraps and some peelings and some skins and shells. And we put them into a worm bin with red wiggler worms. Liza is showing some wonderful wiggability on her own to get close to the camera, and of the worms themselves. They look very happy. Are they still working on making some vermicompost, Liza, it looks like?
Oh, in one end and out the other, the process continues. They are hard at work. Here you can see they're mostly tucked under at the bottom here, understandably.
Remember, boys and girls, they do not like the light. So when Liza is slowly, carefully opening up down to the bottom there, that's where they burrow. That's where they went down. And that is where they are able to work on all those old vegetable peelings that we put into these bins. Ralph Talbot School, South School, all across the South Shore, we were able to make these bins. Now what? What can we do with these worms and the compost they made? Do you think they'll be happy in the garden? We think so. Before we investigate more about how it will help our plants, is there anything else in there that they took a little bit longer time to enjoy?
Well, you might be wondering, do worms have favorite foods? And I think that we could potentially answer that question.
I know I do. So what do you have in there?
Let's see. Well, it looks like there were a few worms who, although they might have eaten their eggs, they decided not to eat the egg shells that the eggs came in.
So there's the crackly part on the outside of the egg.
Important to add because it adds calcium.
Yes. I have an avocado skin here.
Ooh.
And Bella was remarking that maybe this would be a big task for them. In fact, it looks like, Liza, can you investigate there, some vermicompost is created right inside of the avocado peel.
Worms included.
A little protection down in there.
Let's get a close-up.
They sort of made their own little habitat within this habitat.
A peel parfait.
Exactly. These boys and girls and students, we wanted to create a good, healthy environment for them. Holes on the side, holes on the top so they can breathe. They are living things that need air as well. Space for the worms, and of course, water, which we added a little bit into, and the vegetable scraps. What is one thing interesting at the bottom of that is still readable? At the bottom of the South School bin, right here. Take a look at here. Liza was discovering near the bottom.
I was wondering what's going on in the world these days, so we can check the newspaper.
Oh my gosh, and so many of them are down in there, and they are reading the news. There's some hard news out there. We hope for health and safety in this world, and they're reading about it and investigating it, and also using it to make some healthy compost.
Got to be an informed citizen.
That's right. So, take the news, read it there. Now, what can we do with this compost? Oh, yes, go ahead,
Speaking
Liza.
of interesting things that are in our bin and that are alive.
Yes, a little seed might have grown.
So we did not plant this seed. You might be wondering, where did this seed come from? What is this seed? Well, if you think about where all of this came from, we started it with some compost that was from our big compost pile here, so that the compost wouldn't have to be, all just from the constituent parts. So this looks like a seed that could have been included as part of that compost.
And it found the light. It had good compost. It has good compost. It definitely wants to grow. Do you think this vermicompost, because it's made by the worms, you hear that word worm in there, vermicompost, German perhaps. Do you think this vermicompost, this compost will help our plants that we're trying to grow at the farm or in a school garden? Yeah, we are hoping so. So I'm going to create a hole, 3 holes actually. And Liza, can you add a little bit of the vermicompost to each hole? And maybe if a worm goes for the journey as well, then that worm might like to be in this garden, continuing to burrow and dig and have their life adventures. So I'll put some in over here. This is going to help our plants grow.
One of the great thing about red wrigglers is, just from their name, you can tell big wiggle a lot. And so all of that extra energy helps them make tunnels and aerate the soil so there's room for the plant's roots to grow underneath.
And the roots today of our plant is going to be tomatoes. This is a good time here in late May, after we started these bins in February at the schools, to transplant a tomato right into the ground with this beautiful, healthy vermicompost. It's in its own little pot right here that's going to biodegrade, and I'm going to place it right in there with the worms and the vermicompost.
As guardians.
As guardians, as keepers of the health. Grow, tomatoes, grow, with all this wonderful vermicompost. And we are excited, and we miss seeing you, and we will be planting at your school garden, but right now we're staying safe and waiting, just like you are. So all the students who participated in making a vermicompost bin, from Norwell to Weymouth to Hingham and Scituate.
And we want you to know that we are keeping good care of your pets and your co-workers. So
Yes, indeed.
Not to worry, they will be either here, there, or somewhere else where you can visit them.
Thank you for helping our garden, helping the worms, and getting some nice planting and growing. Maybe we'll see you at the farm. Happy growing.